James Clear is a foremost expert on habit formation, whose work distills complex science into actionable strategies. His groundbreaking book, Atomic Habits, provides a proven framework for building remarkable systems through tiny changes. By focusing on the compound effect of 1% improvements, Clear shows you how to make identity-based changes that last. This book transforms your approach to goals, teaching you how to design your environment, overcome plateaus, and build habits that stick forever. Its profound insights offer a masterclass in continuous improvement for anyone seeking to achieve lasting personal or professional transformation. Introduction. Your transformation begins with a simple but profound truth. Small habits compound into life-altering results. I learned this after a baseball injury shattered my face, leaving me hospitalized and desperate. My recovery seemed impossible, but I focused not on walking again, but on standing for 1 minute longer each day. Not on academic excellence, but on reading one more page each night. These atomic habits, nearly invisible in the moment, compounded into a full recovery and academic success. This principle of marginal gains powered the British cycling team's rise from mediocrity. They didn't seek one breakthrough. They improved everything by 1%, redesigning bike seats, testing fabrics for less drag, even teaching proper hand washing to avoid illness. These tiny changes, seemingly trivial alone, compounded into Olympic gold and Tour de France victories. Your journey mirrors this. You will face plateaus where progress feels invisible, valleys of disappointment where effort shows no reward. But beneath the surface, your habits are building potential. Your outcomes are lagging measures of your habits, and your identity is the sum of your repeated actions. This book provides the system to make those actions count, to ensure your habits are votes for the person you wish to become. The fundamentals. 1. The surprising power of atomic habits. Your habits are the compound interest of self-improvement, the same way money multiplies through finance. Your tiny improvements multiply into life-altering wealth over time. This is the power of getting 1% better every day. But this process requires patience because you will inevitably encounter the plateau of latent potential. You will toil in what feels like a valley of disappointment, where your efforts seem to yield no visible results, just like an ice cube in a cold room. You cannot see the microscopic changes in its temperature, so it appears unchanged until it suddenly passes the threshold temperature and begins to melt. Your progress follows the same pattern. Breakthroughs are not sudden. They are the final manifestation of countless small habits that have been building potential beneath the surface. This principle is perfectly illustrated by the story of a coach teaching his students how to fold a paper airplane. He didn't focus on the final throw. Instead, he dedicated immense attention to the subtle nuances of each fold, the precise alignment of the edges, the sharpness of the crease, the exact angle of the wing. He explained that a single fold, off by just a minuscule amount, would compound through each subsequent step, ultimately determining whether the plane soared gracefully or spiraled to the ground. You must adopt this same mindset. Your habits are those folds. Each small choice seems insignificant alone, but these actions compound into the final trajectory of your life. The outcome is encoded in the quality of each minor, seemingly mundane action. You are engineering your future, one deliberate, atomic habit at a time, trusting that the system of tiny gains will eventually carry you across the habit line and into a new realm of results. 2. How your habits shape your identity, and vice versa. Your habits are not just actions. They are votes for the type of person you believe yourself to be. Every time you choose to read a page, you cast a vote for being a reader. Every time you practice a skill, you identify as a learner. This creates a feedback loop where your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your habits. True behavior change operates on 3 layers. The outermost layer is changing your outcomes, like losing weight. The middle layer is changing your processes, like your gym schedule. But the deepest, most powerful layer is changing your identity, your core beliefs about yourself. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus on who you wish to become. This involves a two-step process. First, you decide the type of person you want to be, perhaps someone who is healthy or knowledgeable. Second, you prove this identity to yourself with small wins. Imagine two passengers offered a cigarette. One says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The other says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." The latter has adopted an identity where smoking is not an option. You do the same. Each small action is a piece of evidence that reinforces your new self-image. Over time, these votes accumulate, and the identity becomes ingrained. You are not just running, you are a runner. This shift from outcome-based changes to identity-based changes makes habits sustainable because they are no longer tasks but expressions of who you are. 3. How to build better habits in 4 simple steps. To build better habits, you must understand the 4-step pattern that every habit follows, a cycle known as the habit loop. It begins with a cue, a trigger that tells your brain to initiate a behavior, like your phone buzzing with a notification. Next comes the craving, the motivational force behind the habit, which is the desire to change your internal state, perhaps to feel connected or informed. The third step is the response, the actual habit you perform, which could be picking up your phone to check the message. Finally, the reward is the satisfying end goal that reinforces the loop, such as the relief of reading a new text. These 4 steps form a neurological feedback loop that, with repetition, becomes more automatic. To create a good habit, you must make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. Conversely, to break a bad habit, you invert this framework. Make the cue invisible, the craving unattractive, the response difficult, and the reward unsatisfying. This model reveals that habits are not just about willpower, they are about design. By diagnosing and manipulating each stage of this loop, you can master your behaviors. For instance, if you want to start exercising, you could place your running shoes next to your bed as an obvious cue. Focus on the feeling of energy after a run to make the craving attractive. Start with just 5 minutes to make the response easy, and enjoy a smoothie afterward to make the reward satisfying. This systematic approach removes the mystery from habit formation, turning it into a practical process of engineering your environment and your expectations to make good behaviors inevitable and bad behaviors impossible. The first law, make it obvious. 4. The man who did not look right. You often fail to notice the cues that trigger your habits because they are so deeply embedded in your environment. This principle is vividly illustrated by the story of a nurse in an operating room who kept noting, "Something does not look right," during a routine procedure, despite all vital signs being normal. Heeding her intuition, the surgical team discovered the patient was silently failing from a rare complication. This story mirrors the pointing and calling system used by Japanese train operators, who physically point at signals and verbalize their status to make the cue impossible to ignore. Your habits often operate on autopilot, guided by cues you do not consciously register. To change this, you must practice awareness through a habit scorecard, a simple list of your daily behaviors where you note whether each one is effective, ineffective, or neutral. This practice of naming your actions forces you to recognize the triggers and routines you otherwise overlook. By consciously identifying these cues, you interrupt the automatic cycle and create an opportunity for change. The goal is not to judge your habits, but to observe them without criticism, as becoming aware of the cue is the essential first step to making it obvious. This process of observation shines a light on the patterns that control your behavior, allowing you to see the invisible triggers that shape your day. From there, you can begin to design your environment and your life with intention, ensuring the right cues are prominent and the wrong ones are hidden. 5. The best way to start a new habit. The most effective way to embed a new habit is to anchor it to an existing behavior, a strategy known as habit stacking. The formula is simple. After your current habit, you will perform your new habit. For instance, after you pour your morning coffee, you will meditate for 1 minute. After you sit down for dinner, you will say one thing you are grateful for. This method works because it leverages the existing cue of an established routine, eliminating the need to remember when or where to act. The specificity of the implementation intention is crucial. Rather than vaguely planning to exercise more, you commit to a precise plan. I will walk for 10 minutes at 5 p.m. in my neighborhood. This clarity removes ambiguity and decision fatigue, making the habit more automatic. Harry Braverman's productivity system exemplified this principle. He scheduled his tasks with exact times and locations, transforming intentions into actions. Your environment plays a key role in this process. By designing your surroundings to make cues obvious, you reduce the effort required to start. The goal is to make the initiation of the habit as easy as possible, focusing on consistency over intensity. You are not building a single habit, but a stack of routines that reinforce each other, creating a structure of reliability. This approach transforms abstract goals into concrete behaviors, woven seamlessly into the fabric of your daily life. Each small stack is a brick in the foundation of your identity, proving to yourself through action that you are the type of person who follows through. 6. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. You often believe that motivation drives your habits, but your environment shapes your behavior more powerfully than your willpower. A hospital cafeteria study revealed that simply rearranging drink options, placing water bottles at eye level and soda in less accessible refrigerators, dramatically altered consumption without a single word of education or persuasion. Your habits are not just triggered by time or emotion, but by the subtle cues embedded in your surroundings. General Patton's desk exemplifies this principle. He insisted his office have one door for entry and another for exit, forcing a continuous flow of movement that mirrored his aggressive tactical style. You can design your world to make good habits inevitable by reducing the friction associated with them. If you want to exercise more, place your running shoes next to your bed the night before. If you want to eat healthier, display fruits and vegetables on your countertop, not hidden in drawers. The principle of one space, one use helps immensely. When you associate a specific location with a single activity, like working only at a desk or sleeping only in bed, the context itself becomes the cue. Your mind learns to automatically shift into the corresponding mode, making the desired action feel natural. Environment design beats motivation because it operates unconsciously, constantly steering your behavior without draining your mental energy. You are not fighting your impulses, but rather redirecting them by making the right choices the easiest ones. By becoming the architect of your space, you shape your actions, your habits, and ultimately, your identity. 7. The secret to self-control. While the previous chapter showed how to make good habits obvious, the secret to self-control lies in making bad habits invisible. This is not about willpower, but about designing your environment to eliminate the cues that trigger temptation. The story of American soldiers in Vietnam reveals this power, where 90% overcame heroin addiction not through rehab, but by returning home to a context free of the drug's triggers. You invert the first law here, moving beyond making good cues visible to making bad cues impossible to encounter. This means unsubscribing from promotional emails, deleting social media apps from your phone, and keeping junk food out of your home. The goal is to create friction between you and your bad habits, making the unwanted action difficult to initiate. Temptation bundling only works once these cues are removed, as it links a want-to-do behavior with a need-to-do behavior. True self-control is an environmental design project, not a test of character. You conserve willpower by structuring your world to avoid constant temptation, freeing your mental energy for meaningful choices. This strategic avoidance is the highest form of self-mastery, recognizing that you are human and susceptible to cues. So you choose to control what you can, your environment, rather than fighting endless battles against your impulses. The second law, make it attractive. 8. How to make a habit irresistible. You can make habits irresistible by leveraging the power of temptation bundling and supernormal stimuli. Supernormal stimuli are exaggerated versions of reality that trigger responses far stronger than natural stimuli ever could. Imagine a social media-like button that delivers validation more immediate and frequent than any real-world compliment. These hypercharged cues hijack your innate instincts, creating cravings that are difficult to resist. Social media platforms are masterful at this, using infinite scroll and variable rewards to keep you engaged far longer than you intended. Your brain's dopamine system plays a key role here, as dopamine is released not when you receive a reward, but when you anticipate it. This means you can make habits attractive by focusing on the anticipation of the reward, not just the reward itself. You can harness this power positively through temptation bundling. Temptation bundling works by linking an action you want to do with an action you need to do, such as only listening to your favorite podcast while at the gym. Culture and belonging also shape what you find attractive. By surrounding yourself with people who embody the habits you want to adopt, you naturally find those behaviors more desirable. The key is to engineer your environment and your social circles so that good habits become not just easy, but genuinely appealing. This transforms habit formation from an act of discipline into a source of enjoyment, ensuring your behaviors are sustained not by willpower, but by genuine desire. 9. The role of family and friends in shaping your habits. Your habits are profoundly influenced by the social groups you belong to, as humans possess a deep innate desire to fit in and gain approval. This drive often leads you to imitate the behaviors of three key groups: those closest to you, like family and friends; the many, meaning the broader crowd or culture; and the powerful, those who possess status and prestige. You tend to adopt habits that earn you respect and acceptance within your tribe, sometimes without even realizing it. This is why culture is such a powerful shaper of behavior. If you join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal thing to do, that habit becomes far easier to adopt and maintain. For instance, if you move to a community where cycling to work is commonplace, you are much more likely to start biking yourself. The shared expectations and identity of the group provide a powerful reinforcement mechanism. Your family and friends create an invisible social environment that either supports or undermines your habits. To change your habits, you do not need to abandon your current relationships, but you can seek out new groups where your desired behavior is already the norm. By surrounding yourself with people who embody the traits you wish to possess, you naturally find those behaviors more attractive and achievable. Your social environment provides a constant stream of cues and rewards, making it one of the most powerful forces in habit formation. Ultimately, belonging to a tribe that shares your goals makes the journey feel less like a personal struggle and more like a shared identity. 10. How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. Your bad habits are modern solutions to ancient desires, and to change them, you must address the underlying motive they fulfill. Every craving is an attempt to change your internal state, whether to reduce stress, feel connected, or escape boredom. For instance, one woman had a habit of binge-watching TV shows to unwind after stressful workdays, but it left her feeling lonely. She realized her habit was a misguided solution for her need for relaxation and connection. She fixed it by joining a recreational sports team, which provided the same stress relief and social engagement in a healthier way. This exemplifies the key insight. You must reframe your mindset, shifting from "I have to do this" to "I get to do this," or find a positive action that addresses the same core craving. Stress is a common cause of bad habits because it creates an internal state you wish to escape. By understanding the root cause of your craving, you can design a better response that fulfills the same need without negative consequences. This approach requires honesty, as you must look beyond the surface behavior and ask what deeper need you are trying to meet. Once identified, you can experiment with alternative habits that provide a similar reward but align with your long-term goals. This method transforms habit change from a battle of willpower into a process of discovery and substitution. The third law: make it easy. 11. Walk slowly, but never backward. The power of your habits lies in repetition, not time. Each time you perform an action, you are physically carving a new pathway in your brain, much like a river gradually etching a deep canyon through persistent flow. This neurological process was underscored by researchers at the University of Florida, who demonstrated that consistency, the sheer number of repetitions, is what transforms a conscious effort into an automatic behavior, not simply the passage of days on a calendar. The most profound evidence comes from London, where scientists conducted detailed brain scans on the city's taxi drivers. These drivers, who must memorize the complex layout of 25,000 streets, were found to have significantly larger areas in the brain responsible for spatial memory and navigation compared to other people. Their daily repetition of complex routes did not just create mental maps. It physically built up the very part of their brain needed for the task. A similar change was observed in mathematicians, whose brains developed more brain matter in regions associated with numerical processing and logic. These individuals were not born with these differences. Their brains were shaped by the relentless repetition of their mental habits. This research shatters the myth of a universal 21-day habit formation period. The truth is, a habit becomes ingrained when it has been repeated enough times to forge a deep biological pathway, a process that requires patience and unwavering consistency. You must commit to the repetition itself, trusting that each action is a stroke that is slowly painting the masterpiece of your future self. 12. The law of least effort. Human behavior naturally follows the law of least effort, meaning you will always gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. This principle reveals that the key to building good habits is not to rely on motivation, but to radically reduce the friction associated with them. Consider Oswald Knuckles, who ran a garden hose from his basement directly to his garden, transforming the daily chore of watering into an effortless, automatic process. This same thinking powered Japanese lean production systems, which relentlessly eliminated wasted motion and effort from every step of manufacturing, proving that efficiency itself could become a competitive advantage. The British government applied this principle to increase tax collection rates not through threats or complex incentives, but by making payment easier through automated direct debit systems, effectively reducing the friction between intention and action. Your goal should be to become the architect of your environment, designing it to make positive actions the path of least resistance. This means preparing your surroundings in advance, like laying out your workout clothes the night before, or taking decisive one-time actions such as unsubscribing from distracting emails and deleting tempting apps from your phone. By making good habits incredibly easy to start and bad habits difficult to initiate, you work with human nature rather than against it. You are not lazy, you are efficient, and by strategically reducing friction, you make consistency effortless and long-term success inevitable. 13. How to stop procrastinating by using the 2-minute rule. You can conquer procrastination by mastering the art of starting, and the 2-minute rule is your most powerful tool. This principle dictates that any new habit should take less than 2 minutes to begin. Want to read more? Start with 1 page. This strategy works because it focuses on the initiation ritual, the gateway habit that transitions you into a state of action. The goal is not to achieve the outcome immediately, but to standardize the habit first. You must become the type of person who always puts on their running shoes at 5 p.m. before you can become someone who runs 5 miles daily. This echoes the lesson of the paper airplane, where the coach insisted perfecting each tiny fold was more important than practicing throws. Master the start, and the finish will follow. Optimization only matters after the habit is consistently ingrained. The 2-minute rule acknowledges that the hardest part is often just beginning, and by making that beginning laughably simple, you eliminate the friction of starting. This approach transforms daunting tasks into manageable actions, ensuring you build momentum through consistency rather than overwhelming yourself with intensity. The secret to high performance is not massive effort, but the unwavering discipline of showing up for your 2-minute ritual every single day. 14. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. You can engineer your environment to make success automatic by using commitment devices, which are choices you make in the present that control your actions in the future. Imagine using an app to block social media during work hours, a simple technological solution that enforces focus without daily willpower. This extends to one-time choices, like buying smaller plates to naturally reduce food intake or setting up automatic transfers to your savings account, ensuring consistent financial growth without repeated decisions. The reverse is equally powerful. You must strategically increase friction for bad habits. Unplug the television after each use and store it in a closet, adding enough steps to make mindless watching a conscious effort. Delete games and social media apps from your phone, forcing a deliberate download before any distraction can occur. By making unhealthy choices inconvenient and healthy choices effortless, you transform your environment into a perpetual nudge toward better behavior. Your willpower becomes a backup system, not your primary defense. The goal is to design a world where good habits are the path of least resistance and bad habits require monumental effort, making your desired behavior not just possible, but inevitable. The fourth law: make it satisfying. 15. The cardinal rule of behavior change. The cardinal rule of behavior change is that what is immediately rewarded is repeated, and what is immediately punished is avoided. Your brain is wired to prioritize instant gratification over long-term benefits, which is why bad habits like eating junk food or scrolling through social media are so seductive. They deliver pleasure now. To change this, you must make your good habits immediately satisfying. One powerful method is using a habit tracker, where you get the immediate visual satisfaction of marking a completed task, much like Jerry Seinfeld's "Don't Break the Chain" method, where he marked an X on a calendar for each day he wrote jokes. This simple act provides a small hit of accomplishment that reinforces the behavior. Conversely, you can make bad habits immediately unsatisfying. The ancient strategy of salting the earth, ruining farmland to deter enemies, is a good example for adding immediate consequences to negative actions. For instance, you could create a habit contract where you must pay a friend money every time you skip a workout, attaching an instant cost to the behavior. By engineering immediate rewards for good habits and immediate penalties for bad ones, you align your actions with your long-term goals, making the right choices not just logical but emotionally compelling in the moment. 16. How to stick with good habits every day. Consistency is the lifeblood of habit formation, and the most effective way to maintain it is through habit tracking. This simple practice of recording your completion each day transforms abstract intentions into tangible evidence of progress. Visual measures, like moving a paper clip from one jar to another each time you meditate, or drawing a satisfying X on a calendar for every day you write, make your streaks visible and motivating. These visual cues provide immediate reinforcement, turning the maintenance of the habit itself into a reward. However, perfection is not the goal. The never miss twice rule acknowledges that occasional slips are human, but it prevents a single miss from derailing your entire effort. If you skip one day, you must ensure it does not happen again the next, protecting your momentum. As your consistency solidifies, you can begin habit shaping, gradually increasing the difficulty, like adding 5 minutes to your run each week. For the toughest commitments, a habit contract adds social accountability, a written agreement with a friend outlining specific penalties for lapses, making the cost of breaking your habit more immediate and tangible than the distant reward of keeping it. 17. How an accountability partner can change everything. The most powerful way to ensure you follow through on your habits is to create a public commitment, leveraging the profound force of social expectations. This principle is exemplified by President John F. Kennedy's 1961 speech, where he boldly declared the goal of landing a man on the moon before the decade's end. This wasn't a private ambition. It was a promise made to the entire world, creating an inescapable level of accountability that mobilized a nation's resources and willpower for a single, focused mission. This is the ultimate demonstration of accountability partner power, where the mere presence of a witness or an audience transforms your commitment from a personal intention into a social contract. The potential for embarrassment, the desire to maintain respect, and the weight of someone else's expectations become a powerful external force that propels you forward on days when your internal motivation falters. While tools like a formal habit contract with specific penalties can be effective, the core mechanism is the human connection, the psychological need to be consistent in the eyes of someone whose opinion you value. This social dragnet makes abandoning your habits far more difficult than simply answering to yourself. 18. The truth about talent, when genes matter and when they don't. Your genes play a crucial role in habit success by revealing where you are naturally predisposed to excel, but they are not a life sentence. They create a range of potential, an area where effort is most effectively applied and rewards are most readily available. This is why you must choose habits that align with your personality, selecting behaviors that feel inherently satisfying and natural rather than constantly fighting against your grain. If you are naturally introverted, building habits around deep focus may come more easily than forcing yourself into highly social situations. The key is to play to your strengths, not your weaknesses, investing your energy where you have a natural advantage. This strategy is amplified by the Goldilocks rule, which states that you experience peak motivation when working on challenges that are perfectly balanced on the edge of your current abilities, tasks that are not too hard and not too easy. In this zone of just manageable difficulty, you remain engaged and avoid the boredom of simplicity and the anxiety of impossibility. Your genes set the stage, but your consistent effort in the right direction writes the script of your success. Ultimately, talent is not about being the best in the world, but about being the best version of yourself by leveraging your unique biological blueprint to make hard habits easier and sustained effort more sustainable. 19. The Goldilocks rule: how to stay motivated in life and work. Sustained motivation thrives on a specific condition, working on tasks that are perfectly balanced at the edge of your current abilities. This is the Goldilocks rule, where challenges are not too hard to cause anxiety and not too easy to breed boredom. The most compelling illustration of this principle is the story of chess prodigy Bobby Fischer. For Fischer, chess was not a static game, but an endless series of just manageable problems. Each opponent, each move, presented a unique puzzle that was perfectly calibrated to his evolving skill level. This constant stream of challenges, neither impossible nor simple, created a powerful state of flow that held his focus for years and propelled him to world champion status. His motivation was not a matter of discipline, but a natural outcome of an environment that consistently provided the right level of difficulty. While variable rewards from things like slot machines can create compulsive loops, the deepest and most sustainable motivation comes from this state of peak engagement. You achieve this by continually tailoring your habits and projects to stay within this golden zone, ensuring you are always challenged enough to stay interested but skilled enough to remain confident. 20. The downside of creating good habits. While habits are the machinery of achievement, their greatest strength, automaticity, is also their potential weakness. The same mental efficiency that makes good habits effortless can also lock in bad behaviors, turning them into rigid patterns that operate below your awareness. This is why you must couple habit formation with consistent reflection and review. An annual review or integrity report acts as a crucial audit for your behavior, a dedicated time to ask yourself if your current habits are still serving your values and leading you toward your desired identity. Without this conscious intervention, you risk becoming a prisoner to your own routines, efficiently executing behaviors that may no longer align with who you wish to be. The goal is not to eliminate habits, but to remain the conscious architect of them. You must periodically step back from the automatic pilot of daily routine to ensure you are still flying toward the right destination. This practice of reflection ensures your habits remain tools for your goals, not invisible chains that dictate your life. It transforms you from a passive creature of habit into an active director of your behavior, capable of refining, adjusting, or abandoning routines that no longer serve your evolving purpose. True mastery lies not in blind automation, but in the wise application of effort where it matters most. Conclusion: the secret to results that last. The true secret to lasting results is understanding that mastery is a never-ending journey, not a final destination. Your habits are not a finish line to cross, but a path to walk forever, a continuous process of refinement and growth. This requires a fundamental shift, falling in love with the process itself rather than obsessing over specific outcomes. When you derive satisfaction from the act of practicing, improving, and showing up, you unlock a perpetual source of motivation that does not depend on external validation or achieved goals. This journey has an ultimate purpose, which is not merely to achieve something, but to become someone. Your habits are the tools through which you embody your desired identity, each small action a vote for the person you wish to be. Most importantly, you must trust that small habits compound. They are not tiny additions, but multipliers, like compound interest building wealth over time. The changes seem insignificant day to day, but they accumulate into a profound transformation that defines your life. The goal is to keep the cycle going, to build a system of habits that enables you to evolve continuously into your best self. Thank you for listening to this audiobook. Your interaction matters, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.